I'm excited because our next guest here, it's interesting, some of the topics that Chris just touched on, I think we might get into in this next discussion. We're going to take a little bit of a pivot, but not too much, especially from my point of view, to be honest with you, into marketing. Kara Brown.
Good
Thank
morning.
you so much. Now author and happy. We got
This
the book
morning,
now.
officially.
Yes, Thomas. Mary's going to be excited too. She just started a book club for Check Call. Guys, get ready for that too. I mean, this smells good too. Smell of a good
New book smell.
Dudes, love it. What's the inspiration behind this?
So this is what we do every day, all day. At my business called Lead Coverage, but we wanted to put it's 60,000 words, so it's not a small read, but it's material. We're really proud of it. We wanted to put it in a way that everyone can access. One of the things that we noticed coming out of the pandemic is there's kind of a lack of go-to-market talent in supply chain. Not a shocker for anyone in the room. So we wanted to make it easy, right? And this is it. This is what we do every day, all day. We've got some incredible case studies with people that are in the room today, right, with our clients that are here, all about go-to-market only in supply chain. So it's really specific for everybody here.
Love it.
Talking about advice, because I mean, we both came from functional roles, and then we had to be put into a role where I get to talk on this mic. Yeah. So what's some of the advice to folks within the industry in regards to how to get into marketing and any kind of like top 3?
Sure. So we built a framework. It's a 9-step framework. Share good news, track interest, follow up. There are 3 funnels, not 1 funnel. The prospect funnel, nurture funnel, and the customer funnel. And then really most importantly is measurement. None of this matters if you're not speaking the language of the boardroom, which is finance. And so we talk about measuring volume, velocity, and value inside these funnels and delivering that math back to the leadership team. We start the book out talking about how I've always been the marketing girl, and I'm really proud that now we're delivering math, and there's real case studies in here that we're really excited to share that have actual math attached.
You know, I'm going to confess, before I took this job, I was not anti-marketing, but you had to convince me, you know, and you touched on that. I think a lot of people in this industry are kind of the same thing and starting to realize the importance of that story that you're telling in particular. And I think in the tech side of things too, it becomes even more difficult to share that story. Maybe advice around that, or why it's so difficult maybe for companies to figure out a way to make a story when it comes to the technology aspect.
It's so interesting. I mean, you guys do this every day, all day, right? So FreightWaves is an excellent partner for my company, Lead Coverage. You guys are a great partner for all of our clients that want to get engaged. I think my partner, Will Haraway, is actually the storyteller. So we have 2 big pieces of our business, right? The PR side, and then I get to do demand gen. Will's here today. He's the actual storyteller, so that's a great question for him. I think we take that story that you're telling about your business, and Chris was just up here doing a phenomenal job telling Optum's story, right? Really specifically what they do for customers, how they do it. I think one of the things that a lot of our very specifically broker customers get wrong is they try to be everything to everybody, right? So when we come in and we say, hey, who's your ideal customer profile? And they say anyone that ships. Well, that's not exactly true. There are 19,677 shippers in the United States that matter. So what is the list? What is the ideal customer profile list that you want to get in front of? Then we can talk about intent data, which I think is the sexiest thing coming for anyone in B2B and specifically in freight. But we can talk about that too.
Well, let's talk about that as well. So that's intent data, like the intent, right?
So I'm going to tell you a little story, which everyone is welcome to steal. It's also in the book, right? So when Steve Jobs gets on stage in November 2026, which I believe he will, and he tells the marketplace he is insourcing his supply chain, which I believe he will, and the mic drops for billions and billions of dollars in freight, he did not wake up that morning and make that decision, right? So he doesn't stand up, right? He doesn't blow up his supply chain partners. That decision was made by a Tiger team in Cupertino right now. And that Tiger team is downloading Gartner reports. They're Googling what they need to be doing. How do I buy a fleet? TMS, WMS, OMS. Those are intent signals. And now with the democratization of technology tools in marketing and sales, we can see those intent signals.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like a tell. You're tipping your cards because they're
Yes.
suddenly interested in another.
That's right. And so you're looking for these
So
breadcrumbs.
interesting.
So maybe they're not Googling, I don't know, like truckload in the Midwest. Like that's not happening. No one's Googling Midwest truckload. We all know
Yeah.
that, right? But maybe they're opening a new location in Kansas and they're Googling where is the best place to put this location, or they're connecting with a 3PL, like they're looking for 3PLs in the Midwest. What are the changes that are happening in their supply chain that you can then reach out and say, hey, it looks like something's changing in your supply chain. Do you have other problems
God, I
I can
love
help
that.
you solve? It's
Yeah.
really sexy. The math we have to prove it is really cool.
Clip it. That's a clip.
That's a
there.
clip. No, that's.
I love that.
And speaking of clips, one thing I think that I have to do a better job of. So reaching out in marketing, you've got intent signals where customers are tipping their hand. If I'm a company like a broker and I want to kind of tip my hand to attract a certain customer, what are some signals I can send out, I guess, when I'm searching instead when I'm looking to collect from someone?
So here's one of the pieces of
question.
advice that we give every single potential customer or customer that comes to lead coverage. Plant a flag. Choose something. Pick something that you are going to be the best at. Our best example is ITS Logistics. This is in the book. It's published, so I can share it. It's also published
believe they're
every
speaking
single
today,
month.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Josh
yep.
is here. Yeah.
With Craig, yeah.
Every single month, ITS puts out the very fun and exciting Port Rail Ramp Index, which I kind of joke. It's
So
not-
fun.
Yeah, it's so fun and exciting. But what's really sexy is it gets picked up by CNBC and Railway Age.
Yeah.
Well, where are these drayage customers? They're reading Railway Age.
Yeah.
And people are paying attention to who's being picked up by Lorianne LaRocco at CNBC.
Yeah.
And so when ITS picks this flag, they plant this flag on drayage, which, by the way, ITS is almost a $2 billion full end-to-end supply chain company
Yeah.
with warehouses and managed trans. This is not the only thing they do, but they planted this flag. They get customers to come in through the drayage angle, and then they cross-sell them into freight.
That's
And so
really-
you have to plant the flag. There's no planting the flag on, we're the best over-the-road broker, right? Like
Yeah.
CH owns that. Like
Yeah.
no one's gonna, take that away from the 800-pound gorilla. So pick something else, whether it's steel or weird moves, or I met a guy this week who only does tankers full of like weird chemicals. Like own it, own
Yeah.
the thing that you're. So I think the answer to your question is plant the flag.
I love that. Here's a fun question, marketing in particular. Right now, Wicked's about to come out, and I don't know if anyone's noticed, but everyone is doing a Wicked partnership in some way, shape, or form. If you had to do a Wicked partnership through freight, whether it's tech, whether it's brokerage, be creative. How would you
God.
see that go down?
That is a good question. You're also talking to a very serious,
Yes, Wicked Stan.
like I'm very
Yes.
serious Broadway fan.
Love it.
I don't know. I think we should just do a whole Broadway on freight. Like, let's just, right?
Yes.
Do an entire Broadway production
Yes.
on starting a freight brokerage.
I did meet a trucker who made a play about his lifestyle and what happened to him when he was in trucking and kind of like the at-home experience.
I
and
love
what that
it.
was like.
Call it on the road.
Oh my goodness. Who would be our Elphaba?
Oh my gosh. Craig Fuller.
Yes, yes. I love that. Oh my God, we're running with this. We have to go with
We
this.
need to get him to sing a ballad today.
Yes, exactly.
I was gonna pick broomsticks.
Yes.
We make the best.
You could be our Glinda. I love that.
I love it.
But like, I liked what you're talking about, planting a flag, not being afraid to pick something, using that as a funnel. Moving ahead in terms of social media presence, you had a great point with ITS talking about putting out reports. A lot of folks are afraid to, like we're doing now, talk. Should they go into like video, TikToks, YouTube when they're partnering up and figuring it out? Or is it just start with some text and try something?
The latter, right? Start with something, try something. So
Yeah.
part of what we do for our clients, we call executive thought leadership, and we literally write it for our executives. So if you don't have time, it's totally fine. I'll give you a couple pieces of advice if someone hasn't tried it yet. One, digital is always fixable. So perfection is the enemy of progress. This
Yeah.
is for our executives. We love you guys, I really do. But sometimes it's like this T, this I don't sound like this.
Yeah, we've all been there.
The Twitter edit button is useful,
Right.
you know? Yeah.
Like, it's okay. It's okay if you mess it up. Also, LinkedIn will only show about 1% of your of your followers any of your content. Unless you're Kara Brown and you're blowing up LinkedIn. Someone told me yesterday.
Exactly. Yeah.
Someone called me yesterday and was like, would you stop? Like, all I say, and I'm like, the book comes out tomorrow.
You've won the LinkedIn algorithm.
I know, right? I promise I'll be done tomorrow when the book is launched. But I think making sure that you're sending your LinkedIn content from a human, because LinkedIn rewards human interactions, not corporate interactions. Very important, number one. And two, just get it out there. No one's gonna see it anyway. Also, like, kind of no one's gonna read it. It's okay, just get it out there, start to plant the flag on something. But I think text is a great way to start. Video, even for me, is really intimidating. When I've published
as she's killing it on the stage, but
well,
yes.
I appreciate that. When I published the book, one of my like book people was like, you need more video. So I had to have a human follow me around the Transportation Marketing and Sales Association conference. It was so uncomfortable. So I get it. Video can be super hard, but just start writing, right? Just start banging it out. It's great.
Thomas and I are like, I wish a camera was following me all day long. Yeah. I wish I had that problem.
You guys basically have a camera following you all day long.
Yeah, South, if you could just follow me for the rest of the day, that would be great.
We will. He's around here somewhere. Shout out to South Dirk. So looking ahead, you've got the book. You're doing the PR tour. What's next?
This is it. I want to get this into as many hands as possible. The book is really for 22-year-old Kara Brown. I grew up on the floor of Echo Global Logistics. I worked right for Doug Wagner. It was an amazing experience. But I had no idea what I was doing. The first chapter is just me like kind of floundering around, figuring it out. And they liked me. I had a lot of energy. And they were willing, I was kind of willing to do anything for anyone, but I didn't have any KPIs. And so my goal is to get this into as many people's hands as possible, to give more marketers a seat at the table, a meaningful seat at the table.
Yeah.
And if you can do like 25% of what we recommend in here, and if you can start to measure what you're doing in a meaningful and strategic way, you will have a seat at the table, because you're gonna be bringing a point of view that isn't, no offense to my sales leaders, isn't just the sales perspective. It's gonna be an actual market point of view, which is important.
Yeah, it's so kind of frustrating sometimes in the work that we do too, because there is that line of like people wanting to stay like on a sales pitch, and you see it more with like the publicly traded companies, I would say. But that's what, like, for me, I'm sure Thomas agrees, like, I love trying to capture that story and pull that out of them. So if I ever do that in an interview with someone, I go off rails, that's because I'm trying to do you a favor, even if I fail and fall on my face. We got about a minute here. If you could write another book, what do you think you would focus it on after this fun venture that you've been through?
So this isn't going to surprise anyone who knows me, but less than 2% of all female founders will break $1 million in revenue. The number of women that break $10 million is statistically irrelevant. They don't track it. It's just the list.
Oh, wow.
The number of published authors that are women is also less than 2% in the business community, and I'm an Iron Man, which is less than 2%. So there's a book in me about being a very average girl from the Midwest. You and I have talked about this.
Yep.
And yet doing kind of hard things.
Yeah.
I think that's probably next.
Where can we get the book?
You can get it right there.
Yes.
Check it out.
We're signing books today, and it's on Amazon. We've got Kindle, and I recorded my own audiobook, so you can listen to me sound like a Chicago frog for 6 hours.
Love that. Thank you so much. Again, women in tech, women in marketing, love to see the work. Again, a beautiful book, beautiful color scheme too. So
thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate
Thanks for having
it.
me.
Sure.